welcome to Paper Traders, a show where two average Joes try to beat the market. I'm Eric, and I'm here with Danny, and don't forget that we are streaming on all your favorite platforms, so get in on YouTube, Ustream, Twitch, all these other ones, and sign up, and make sure you get these updates, and that lets you know that we're live and we're doing this show. Long and short of it today is basically holidays are coming up. I'm not going to lie to you. Kevin Matris was supposed to be on again today, but he literally went and told us that it just isn't going to happen until the end of the year. So it means next year we'll get a chance to get it because our next two shows would both be on holidays. So just so you guys know, this is our last show for the year. So for some of you, you might be excited about that. I know I'm a little excited about that.
It's crazy to think about. I mean, we say that probably every year, but the years just keep going by faster and faster. And here we are again, reaching into 2020, which is pretty iconic number. I'm sure there's some type of weird association with how they have those like golden year birthdays and stuff.
Well, it's the next decade, really. I mean, we're going back into the 20s, bro.
Yeah, very true.
I've heard people trying to bring flapper stuff back for the 20s, and it's like, no, don't do that.
Let's just keep that.
Somebody was like, oh, we should bring the Charleston back. I was like, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, let's keep going forward.
Yeah, let's keep out of that. With keeping forward, I guess we kind of touched on some news. I guess probably market-wise, we're probably not going to hear or see anything because the ongoing, impeachment proceedings going on in the House currently. I've been listening to it all day.
You're a little bit more in tune than I am. I'm kind of staying away from it. I got too sick of it. I feel like it's been going on for like 18 years. So I'm just kind of taking a back seat right now and kind of waiting to see what happens. Obviously I can't wait to see the end result, but
I'm in the same boat you are. I'm not normally too involved in the process when it's going on. I'm way more interested in what the resolution is. And with this statement, I'm just going to say that I've been listening to what's happening, and I'll be quite honest with you. It's just kind of a joke altogether, really, and not the idea of the impeachment altogether, but all these
just
people,
kind of how the proceedings are going.
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember which side was talking about it, but both sides have literally brought up articles from newspapers as evidence, and it's like, dude, that I could write an article. Yeah.
Articles. I mean, I guess it depends on who's writing the article and how much.
USA Today was one specifically I remember hearing, just because I am listening to it in the background. I'm not actively watching.
And they just kind of yell at you.
And I heard somebody saying according to the article in USA Today, blah blah blah. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. It's like, how much validation does it have? I feel like right now, especially, a lot of these media outlets are very one-sided, either Democrat or Republican. You kind of get one story or the other. You kind of have to mix them together and find.
And the truth lies in the middle too.
Right.
I was a journalism student for a while, and I'll tell you, every bit of journalism that you learn about is you're going to have biases when you're writing.
Yeah, that's a really convoluted way of giving evidence to something. Again, I'm not very on top of it, but it sounds kind of
I will tell you, it's almost exhausting the amount of reading that you have to do if you really want to get the truth. I'm one of those people that because I did learn that you have to read both the left and the right to actually get the truth in the middle. I mean, it's double the amount of work.
Yeah.
So you're reading two articles, one from a lefty and one from a righty, and then somewhere you're saying, well, okay, obviously this doesn't add up and that doesn't add up. Oh, here's something that both sides actually could agree on, so this is probably true.
Yeah, you got to find that common ground.
Right, and it's exhausting with this whole thing. So I've especially been kind of out of this, but seeing that the proceedings are going on, and actually it looks like Nancy Pelosi is talking right now. So
as you can see, New York Times is having a live stream of the whole thing going on. So
right. So I mean, this whole thing is crazy, and for most of us, especially, we're going to get back to it because honestly, we're a stock show. We're not, into the politic end of it, but
it's affecting the market.
The resolution is going to affect the market for sure.
Yeah. So
that's our point to that is basically we're not going to really see much. This is the last show of ours for the year. So we're just going to kind of, again, keep it short and touch on a couple little things. I know we got a couple stories.
Is there a resolution time at which point we can kind of expect this to end? Do you know?
Well, I know that today is when they're supposed to vote on the actual impeachment.
If it's going to happen or if they're going to vote.
On which parts they're going to actually go and hand off to the Senate then to vote.
Okay, so today is a bigger day than usual amongst this process that's been going on for the past few months.
Literally, this is kind of hilarious. Yesterday, there was a guy on the train on my way home that was wearing a Santa Claus hat that had impeach on it, and he was
Oh,
running up and down
God.
the train saying Happy Impeachment Eve.
Oh
Now,
man.
granted, he looked like a nutcase.
Yeah,
So
but you get those.
but we're just gonna say that I feel like it's very telling about what's going on. So
Yeah, that's funny. That's something I feel like you'd see on New York. They have this Instagram feed. They have like New York subway creatures.
oh, they have one like that here in Chicago.
Oh, do
Yeah,
they?
people of the CTA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny when the type of people you see. So I'm sure he'll be on the Instagram.
Yeah, I would have
feed.
wanted to take a picture, but I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I feel like that is just
I
it's
feel
just
like
too low.
nowadays
It's kinda
people don't
creepy.
care. Yeah, I feel like when you see something like that, everybody on the train or bus or wherever you are is taking out their phone, going,
Right.
"Oh, let's get the picture." you
Right, and I
know?
feel like it's kind of creepy and a little weird. I'm like from an older generation, so that whole I didn't grow up with a phone everywhere, so
Yeah,
it's
I
a
agree.
little weird when you're just pulling out pictures and taking photos of people, especially something like that.
Yeah.
I almost feel like you're taking advantage of them just for likes or something. And
I will say I'm never the first person, but I have jumped in on the bandwagon when it's
when
a
I've
picture
seen something
opportunity.
really crazy go down, yes, I'll pull my phone up. Like yesterday's situation, it was like me and a couple other people in this car, and then this guy that came enthusiastically through, with his little hat, and I was just like, you know what, I should take a photo. And I was like,
Maybe not.
yeah, I don't want to get stabbed today.
The better of you came out and you're just like, all right, I'll take
Right.
a back seat.
I didn't
here."
feel like getting a shank to the lung. But so we'll just kind of leave the political talk at that. We're not going to know what's going to happen for a little bit, and until we do, we're not going to know what's going to happen with the market. So we can touch on a couple of small stories that are currently happening, but after that, I don't have much for you guys. So Danny, what you got?
Right now, currently, kind of the biggest story that's been plaguing the headlines has been the Southwest, or not the Southwest, but the Boeing 747. But it does directly affect Southwest.
The Max.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been one of those things that's been plaguing that industry for quite a long time. Boeing has continued production since March of last year when these crashes happened. I was reading that they were basically paying $1.5 billion a month just to keep this production going for something that was in hopes that the FAA would, allow them to actually fly them. So they recently just came out and said that they're going to halt production indefinitely starting in January, which is a big deal.
Wait, there goes a 747 Jet Max now.
So yeah, I mean, making light of the situation, it's something I think a lot of people may have seen coming. I'm not too sure, but I feel like it's been dragged out for such a long time. I don't know how a company can
They should have pulled the plug.
sustain that type of
Yeah.
production costs when they're not selling these things. They're not going to get them in the air anytime soon, as we kind of alluded to last week when we were talking about it. They had no idea about when they're going to get this even passed,
Right.
and then they have to go through the hurdles of getting the pilots trained, and
And they have to fix all those
forget that.
planes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a grueling process that I didn't see kind of coming to an end anytime soon.
No.
So with them stopping it, it's going to have a big impact. I was reading that it's going to be something that can hit a lot of the manufacturing. There's going to be tens of thousands of jobs that will be basically lost because of this production being halted. So I think we'll
the
see
supply lines too. I mean, it's not like Boeing makes all the parts. I'm sure that there's other distributors that make the alternators and the turbines and everything else that's involved. So I'm sure it's not just them that's going to be affected. I'm sure their supply lines also going to be affected as well.
Yeah.
So I remember that was a big deal when when Ford was, or no, it wasn't Ford, GM was going to go bankrupt. It wasn't the fact that the company was going to go bankrupt. It was the fact that the suppliers that supplied GM were going to be like basically bankrupted. So
they were so tied into our economy. Basically, the government was like, we got to step in and
which I still don't agree with. It's not how capitalism works. That's a sign of poor management. And with a bankruptcy, you could have gone and fixed that problem.
yeah,
But
I'd be curious to see how it's going to impact the market and kind of the overall economy going forward with Boeing. I think it'll have a ripple effect. I don't think it'll have a long lasting effect, but I think
they're
going to
take a
job
hit.
numbers and manufacturing numbers and kind of just global economic numbers that we get over the coming months, you'll see some kind of backlash there. But I mean, they're going to have to start creating another plane and something in the future. So I'd imagine things will bounce back and manufacturing jobs will be gained again. So
I actually have an interesting question while you were talking there. I was thinking about, which was how much of Boeing's income actually comes from they're selling their planes to like the public versus selling their like top secret F-18 jets that go for like $1 billion a piece. I'm trying to find like a pie chart or something that'll show me somewhere their breakdown of their cash flow is. Because
yeah, well, you're
I
making that
personally,
$1.5 billion kind of seem like chump change now.
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm wondering how much. I mean, there's actually most of the stories I'm trying to look this up, all saying that six companies are reliant on government contracts with Boeing, but I don't think that the public sector is going to affect their bottom line very much. I think that they make most of their money from the government. The government making jet planes to fight wars and drones and stuff like that. I'm sure that the private sector does probably make up a chunk, but I bet you the government research that they do probably pays the majority of what that share is worth.
Yeah, I don't think the stock has taken a huge hit from this kind of story overall.
No, it hasn't.
I mean, it's just
I'm gonna pull up a chart
it's a
just to
story
show
in
it to
which that I think is going to impact the overall kind of economy, like I was saying, with the manufacturing. Obviously, Boeing will see kind of a hit, but companies like Southwest will also take hits. They were saying that due to this and them having to stop air travel with this jet, it'll increase their production for over 4 to 6% over the year, which is accounting for their what they call available seat miles. And that excludes fuel and oil expense and profit sharing expense. So they're definitely going to see an increase. They also see fuel efficiency dipping almost 2% due to the loss of these planes. So, I mean, that's up to hundreds of millions of dollars for a company like this. So I definitely think, again, there'll be ripple effects, but I think investors can rest assured that there'll be a bounce back with these companies.
I mean, this company isn't cheap. I mean, if you want to pull up my computer here, Danny, it's 332.70 currently, and it's up as this news just came out.
If you pull a 5-year chart of that thing, look at that. It's
I've
just
got
been
the price and stuff. Yeah,
it used
exactly.
to be like $100 at one point.
I mean, in 2018. Which is probably when that first Malaysian crash happened. It seems like it's kind of traded in this range here, but I mean, had a pretty good peak there in early 2019, and we've just been sitting in that range still since this news has come out. I mean,
sideways trading.
Right. It looks like 2020 is looking like it might go down. Current analyst reports. 2021, it looks like it's going to sit pretty flat. I'd assume that somewhere in the middle, that truth is going to lie, and somewhere in the middle equals that flat range. So this might not be a big mover, but might be something to consider buying on a dip. A good dip. I mean, I'd assume today would have been a dip, but right now, after this news came out, I mean, it's still up 5%. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you guys saw that the
or 1%, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Right, the 2021 estimates are still give the stock some room to run. Like you said, they don't just build these 747s or 737s, so it's
right.
Yeah.
It's a very small part of their segment. And again, like even we're saying it's a hold, I would say if you don't have it, buy it. Because if you can get a good dip on it, this is going to be a stock that's going to win. The government contracts are probably what make their bread and butter. And
yeah, it's definitely not for me, though. That volatility scares me with a price. Stock at this price, the jumps could be.
I'm going to add this to our portfolio.
$30 to $50.
I'm going to add this to the paper traders watch list because this is something that I might actually want to buy if there were to be some really bad news that came out,
like some good price action stuff.
Yeah, if there was something really bad that were to come out to get them to dip down a good $100, I'd probably jump in.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's not for me. It's a little bit rich for my blood.
Yeah, it's an expensive one.
I remember years ago looking at it when it was like $130 or something. And just watching it go up, 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 and away. So I remember at one point there was buying opportunities, but as we saw in those charts, it's kind of trading sideways, trying to find its trading ground.
Yeah.
And I feel like it could go either way depending on what kind of news we get from the next quarter after we see kind of the results of them stopping production in January. So we have a few months to kind of go through, I feel like, before we see that move. So like you said, it might be a buying opportunity. So definitely keep an eye out.
I'm going to throw it into the watch list because I feel like that's something that could be really useful down the line.
Yeah.
What else you got, Danny? Any other news pieces?
The only other news is kind of shaking up is kind of the FedEx Amazon war per se. I mean, I forget when it was, earlier this year, basically, FedEx came out and said that they were going to cut ties with Amazon at some point because they wanted to kind of look at them more of as competition than as a partnership. They didn't exactly
There's a
say that, but
fail.
yeah, I mean that's just kind of how they came out and said we're going to be, cutting ties. So Amazon this week basically came out and said that they're not going to allow third-party vendors to use FedEx to ship their goods.
Oh man,
So it's like this back
I
and
wish we had a
forth war.
shotgun sound to put FedEx down because that's oof.
Yeah, so it was a big hit on them. Their stock is actually trading down like 9.5% today. So they're taking a bit of a hit due to this news. They actually also reported weak expected second quarter results. What was that, yesterday? And they're kind of trading again, pretty bad due to that as well. So they went on to explain that it's due to global economic conditions weakening, the rising costs associated with their ground delivery expansion, which now they're doing 7 days a week, which is kind of their big push to take over Amazon as the delivery service, and again the loss of the big business, which they clarified as being Amazon.
Yeah.
So
Hint, hint.
yeah.
Very
So there's
hushed
kind
words.
of there's a list of a slew of things that kind of came out that hurt this company during the second quarter, but they're saying that by 2021 they are going to overtake Amazon
No way.
as the delivery service. So
I think that's going to be the very opposite. I think Amazon's only getting bigger.
yeah, they're building up their delivery network. I feel like
I see
they're
their
just going to be
trucks
able to
everywhere, and I'm not just talking about like their little delivery vehicles. I'm seeing those giant, semis, 18 wheelers,
Yep.
just down the highway every day. I feel like, sorry FedEx, that you just shot yourself in the foot. That was the goose that laid the golden egg. They were literally saving. I'm sure they saved the United States Postal Service. I'm sure they were doing help for FedEx, and here they are shunning them. Like that's a poor move on their part. I feel like that's really going to play out poorly for them in the long term.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. I'm reading here right now that the third-party sellers make up 58% of sales on Amazon. So that is huge to think that they cannot use FedEx for any of those services.
It was nice knowing you, FedEx.
That's millions of people probably that are just like, I guess we'll have to use UPS or Amazon Prime. So
weird conspiracy theory. I'm going to try to look in the future here. I'm going to say FedEx can't handle anything that happens for Christmas, so they end up basically losing their price value. They go down low enough to where Amazon can buy them.
It's funny that
Jeff Bezos goes, oh well, why would I build my own fleet when I could just buy one?
Yeah, it's funny that you say the whole Christmas thing because Amazon's reasoning behind dropping them was due to them saying that their customers weren't getting like their packages on time or something, so they wanted to ensure that all the packages sent, were getting prompted on the right days and whatnot. So they were like, we got to get rid of FedEx for right now, just casually.
I'm throwing out my mystical future, and I'm gonna say that Bezos is just gonna buy FedEx and be like, why would I build a fleet when I could just buy one?
Well, I mean, he's got all those factories, or not factories, but warehouses across the country. I know I had a few friends do some of that type of stuff during the holidays back in the couple years ago to make extra money, and they've only grown. I know we got one here in Chicago now.
Oh yeah, they're over the place now.
I know they're shelving out money left and right to get people inside of those warehouses to get those packages shipped. So I don't think they're messing around. I think they're kind of already there. They already got the warehouses. They already got the delivery network. So, yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I feel like that's all the major news we could potentially talk about because Trump mania has overtaken pretty much any sort of news market today. So
yeah, those two little tidbits is kind of all that's shaking up. So
right.
It's one of those things where the 737 has been going on for the past week and a half. We talked about it last week. So
it's been a story going on for like a year.
Yeah, since March of last year, when the first crashes kind of first happened. So yeah, it's been going on quite a bit. but it's still a story people are keeping an eye on. I mean, it's still relevant. So
All right, let's get into the battleground here, and we'll finish out the year and see how our portfolios have performed.
all right.
All right, so the gentleman I am, Danny, why don't you go first?
Oh, me? Well, I actually have decent news again. We're teetering back and forth between the red and the green. Today we're in the green, but overall today we're down 0.04%. So as you can see here, I'll pull up my screen and take a look at my portfolio. We're up again, almost 1%. Just if people haven't been following along, at one point we were down, I think, over $200, and that was due to our investment in Square. We got in a little, I guess, early. It was kind of right before an earnings, but it's a company we're invested in for the long term. You can see it's trading at 66.10 there. We got in at 78.70. So we're still working our way back. But as you can see, our other investments kind of helped out and pushed us back up and into the green. So we're doing good. I feel confident. We're still looking for another investment to add to our portfolio here, and we'll see what the coming year kind of has to give us. I feel like when the new year kind of comes around, we'll have maybe a few more things to kind of throw into the portfolio. I know we have a lot on our watch list. So
Well, that's good, man. Well, I too actually have positive news. I am going to end the year, at least for the show, in the green.
look at that.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Yeah, both of us in the green, and not only am I in the green, I'm up, 11.56% in total gain, so that's pretty
I
good.
dislike you.
And
you're up a lot more than me. So
You-
technically, you're the winner of the final year.
yes, and not only that, but I already took gains too, so I took money out.
Hmm.
Remember, I sold that stock. I
Now
took
you-
Take Two Interactive and made probably $400 on that trade.
That's
so.
right. Now you have to reinvest it
Oh, yeah.
and put it back into the market.
Definitely. I bet you. Everybody knows I've been looking. So I've been looking for a stock. I actually, Boeing, I kind of showed my hand as something that I'm very interested in looking at. I've been waiting for it to really kind of take a good dive, and it just hasn't yet.
Right.
I kind of was hoping that would happen today before the show, and that news came out, and I was kind of like, oh, finally I get to break something. But it didn't really do anything for it, at least didn't put it anywhere where I was interested in getting in. So
Right.
with that, though, I guess, guys, for Christmas, don't forget, for $1, you can get your loved one a subscription to Zax.com. And with that, gets you into all the portfolios that have been closed out, gets you into every last editor's notes. You get daily updates on what's happening with the stocks that they've picked and that they hold. And then you also get, updates on what's going on with your stuff. All for $1. All you
Yeah.
have to do is go to Zax.com/promo to do that.
I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, if you are very interested in doing trading for yourself or for your family or for whomever, I feel like the tools that are available at Zax are very good, and they will help you to help beat the market, because there are certain things here that you just can't deny. I mean, I've just been using their free tools, and I'm up for the year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's just a lot out there, so it helps to kind of narrow it down and use these tools to kind of figure out what you want personally. So yeah.
So with that all, everybody, I'd like to say happy holidays to you. I would say that I would see you next year, but I'm actually going to see you the next decade.
Wow, that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, I know, right? So everybody be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Happy New Year.